Great, you're becoming a Swift expert already. You already know how to define variables and constants. You already know how to use the if, else, or even the switch keywords to add conditionals to the flow of your program. Let's now work on keywords that will let you repeat certain lines of code according to something that you're going to evaluate. Let's start, for example, with the fourth keyword. And to use the for keyword, I will first define some scores. Scores. So this scores constant, remember that the let keyword is to define a constant, is going to have some values inside of it. And this is going to be an array of elements. This is not just going to have one value, it's going to have several values inside of it. So I can start defining numbers inside of it, like that. And now the scores variable or constant has 6 values that you can see to the right. And so, for example, I'm going to need a new variable that is going to tell me final score. And at the end of the loop is just going to be 0. Now I do want to start adding to the final score variable according to these scores, or each of these scores in the scores constant. To do that, I can use the for keyword and say that I'm going to get the score in scores. So for each of the score in the scores constant, I will execute everything that's inside of these brackets. So that thing that I may want to do is final score is going to be equal now plus equal score. So now every time that this loop is executed, the score is going to be added to the final score variable. So at the end of the loop, if I print final score, I should be able to see that the value is 51. Now I have this error in here. I will just print the final score. And so there you have it. The value is 51, which if you were to do the math, 51 would be 15 plus 13 plus 9 plus 7 plus 5 plus 2. That is just the way it goes. And if I were to add another value in here, of course the value of final score will change because this loop will execute one more time to account for the new value. Another keyword that you can use if you want to loop some code is the while keyword. So for example, I'm going to define a variable here that I will call n, and that is going to be equal to 2. Let me just delete this. So the variable n is going to be equal to 2, and I'm going to use the while keyword. And here I need to add a conditional. This is going to be repeating while n is less than 10. So as long as n is less than 10, this code inside of the brackets is going to be repeated. So I will just make this simple math in here. And at the end of the loop, I'll print n. So as you can see, because this is executing for as long as n is less than 10, n at the end of the loop is going to be 16. Because there will be a time where n is 8, okay, n is less than 10, okay, yeah, 8 is less than 10. So n is going to be 8 times 2, meaning that n is now going to be 16. The next time it is going to evaluate, is 16 less than 10? Okay, no. 16 is not less than 10? Okay, don't do anything anymore, just print n. So there you have it. There is also another use to the for keyword which will do the exact same thing. It will loop through the code just like the other for, but in this case, instead of looping through an array and doing for each of the items on the array, I will just define a variable directly after the for keyword, and usually you call it I, and initialize it to some value, and then you add a conditional. For this is going to be executed until I or while I is less than 10, and each of the loops you're going to increment I by 1, like this. So by doing plus plus, you will add 1 to the value of I. So this, you define I with a value of 0. You want to repeat this code while I is less than 10, and on each loop you want to add 1 to I. And in this case, you may want to do something, and at the end, you may do something else like print I. So maybe print I in here as well. Okay, put it in there. Now, as you can see to the right, that is executed 10 times, and if I were to show the console output, I will see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let me just zoom in a little bit. Don't pay attention to the first 3 digits. You will see that that is happening right there, printing I. The previous digits, it's probably because of this print right here. I will just get rid of it. And there you have it. Actually from 0 to 9, because it's executing 10 times right from 0. So, by the way, that's the console output that you get with the assistant editor. And so you know that that is executing 10 times. If I were to change this from less or equal than 10, it now executes 11 times, and now the output shows from 0 all the way to 10. Great. So you are even more of an expert now with this for loop. The next thing would be for you to learn functions, and we're going to talk about functions in the next lecture.